All right, let's get to it, shall we? Ah, hello everyone. Soul Commodore back at you again. You can see my back here. Coming at you again with some more live painting. Today we're going to be working on this piece once again. We are doing three more sections. At least working on three more sections. I don't know if we'll get them done, but we'll be working on on three of the final six sections. And yeah, we're going to start with this yellow panel here, the fourth of the five yellow panels. And yeah, let's get to it. Before we start, though, I am going to just quickly hop over here and grab a sweater because I am a little bit chilly in here, believe it or not. So I will be right back. Just gotta get underneath all these cords and everything. I'm also going to zoom this in a bit. Just like so. There we go. On the sweater. Ugh. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that it's chilly today. What is it? This'll do. Yeah, I shouldn't be surprised that it's chilly. It was a pretty cold, blustery day today. Much like yesterday. But what are you gonna do? Where's my hat? There it is. All right. Let me slip back under this. Ooh. There we go. All right. There we go. Nice and cozy. All right, so like I said, we're going to work on starting with this panel, and then we'll move on to these ones. And I'm going to adjust this a little bit more, that you see less of me. We'll try here, and we'll see how that works. Yeah, each of these paintings that I'm doing is 15 panels, and we've gone through 9 of them. Take these off. This panel doesn't really have too much on it in terms of like detail work. There's really not too much at all. Oh, did I forget to? I forgot to actually trace in the actual jawline. Let me do that right quick before we continue. Can I reach this from here? Yes. Yes, I can. Take my carbon paper here, slip it in behind. Easy. And there we go. I don't know how well that's going to show up on the camera, but now this figure has a jawline. Hey, Iskos. How's it going? No, actually it doesn't. So this here is it's actually a acrylic paint. And this is just a painter's tape. And actually, to be honest, it's just green masking tape. It's not even painter's tape. But no, it doesn't damage it at all. I can stick whatever I want to this, and it won't lift up any of the paint, which is a plus. But welcome on in. Hope you're doing well. That was a good question. That was definitely a good question because I was worried too when I was thinking of doing this that having tape on this, because I also tape these edges, was going to damage the paint at all. But thankfully, the adhesive on this tape is strong enough to stick and strong enough to keep paint from going underneath it. but also weak enough that I can like just tear it off the canvas and it doesn't damage anything at all. So yeah, I kind of lucked out there with how well that works. But yeah, we're just I think it's interesting that you're painting it in strips instead of cutting the strips after painting each portrait. Yeah, that was actually part of the challenge. I wanted that that little bit of challenge because I was thinking like, well, I could do that, you know, just cut individual strips of a canvas after painting each portrait. But I thought it'd be I guess I don't know. This sounds so artsy, but a more organic process to just do it right on the canvas live, you know. Um, but I just thought it'd be a cool experiment to see if I could do it, and it turns out that it doesn't look half bad. All right, let's get my brush here. And like with all the other ones, we're going to be starting with the darkest areas first. See, last time I did this, I wasn't in the shot at all. Let me see if I can adjust this camera. Maybe I just need to raise it. Or I might just need to reposition the camera. Just cool. Sorry for the shakiness. It's unfortunately a byproduct of me not knowing what I'm doing. There we go. We'll try that. We'll see if I'm less in it now. Probably not. How many strips for each portrait? So for each portrait, it's 5 strips. Yeah. So each one is 5. I can actually show you another one that I did because there's 3 paintings like this in this series that I'm doing. Let me just bring up an example of the other one that I did. Bear with me while I bring up the web page. This one we did on stream too, at least part of it. There we go. So that's another one that we did. So it ends up being five strips per figure, and each of them are the same color. So in this one, the male figure is in all the white, all the yellow, and then there's one female figure in all the blue, another female figure in all the green, and then in this one, yeah, there was one figure per the yellow, the blue, and the brown. But yeah, that's hopefully by the time we're done this one, it'll kind of look like this one in terms of quality, but we'll see. Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun to work on. It's been fun to try out. All right. But yeah, welcome on in. Happy to have you in here watching, and please feel free to keep asking questions and keep talking. I do make a point to, there are some times where I kind of zone out and I'm just doing stuff, but please feel free to keep chatting if you like. It doesn't bother me or anything at all. All right, so starting with the darkest stuff. So I might as well start with the eyebrow. Oh, you know what? I almost made a mistake. We got to tape off these edges first because I don't want to paint here. That section is done. And I don't need any overlap. Are you an artist as well? Oh, come on now. Let's line it up as much as possible, please. There we go. Only casually. I do kind of a collage art. I watch a lot of artists on Twitch though. Oh, fair enough, fair enough. Hey, there's nothing wrong with casual artists. Absolutely nothing. I love seeing art of all kinds from all sorts of people, whether they're casual, hobbyists, or they're professional artists, whatever level their interest is in art. I love seeing stuff. So I extend this to everybody who comes in here too. If you have anything that you want to share with the people or share with me, please feel free. And if not, that's okay too. But collage art, that's really cool. I like that. There was a collage artist that I went to a university with who did really, really, really cool stuff that I never would have guessed to do. Yeah, so everything on here is just, well, I mean, the background is obviously different colors of paint, but the figures themselves are only painted in black to give kind of a homogeneous feel. Also, it's kind of nice because it's easier on me because I don't have to worry about blending a bunch of different colors. I've only been doing collage for about 2 years, but I've amassed an incredible number of magazines in that time. Hey, that's the way to do it. You know what? Um, that is a very artist thing to do, I think. I obviously, um, in terms of, especially like with figures, I tend to work a lot from reference, and a lot of these pictures are either pictures that people have sent to me. Like some of the figures here, like I asked them because I know all of these people. I asked them to send me pictures of themselves that they liked. Um, but otherwise, I work from pictures that I took myself. Um, so you amass an incredible amount of magazines is perfectly in line with how a lot of artists work because I have, I think, like one might be like 500 gigs and then one's a terabyte, just full of pictures that I've taken myself of people, of landscapes, of different things that I find interesting that might make it into a work someday. But it's far too many pictures that I could ever actually do anything with. But I keep taking them. So that that is perfect. I have so many pictures. So there's that eyebrow done. An infinite amount of reference material. Exactly. Exactly. But it's nice because if I need something, chances are I've got a picture of it somewhere. Trying to find it is sometimes a difficult prospect, but I've got it somewhere. Yeah, it's fun though. It's fun. I quite enjoy the process. Is there any particular imagery that you like using with your collages, or any sort of particular look that you go for? I need another brush actually. Let's try this one. I am so rough with my brushes. I should be gentler with them, but nah. Might as well get the other one out too. Yeah, this one's a bit stiffer. All right, oop. Let's get back to it. Because now we're gonna go in around the eye, and this again. I always start with the darkest stuff first because it gives me a good reference point for everything else. And especially because the blending on this is relatively easy in that all I really need to do is have very little paint on the brush. Man, that eye is really dark. Okay. That's all right though. Basically all of this is dark. I've done a few different things, but I haven't settled into a real style yet. Done landscape, a bird portrait, cubism type things, abstracts. I get a bit frustrated if I need to use a lot of tiny pieces in a collage, so I try to make the shapes as chunky as I can. Ah, cool. Cool. I like that. I like that. With the chunky, blocky shapes, it kind of reminds me of like actually like kind of cubist. Yeah, I'm just picturing it in my mind. That's really cool. I like that. That's a fun place to be, by the way. I know it might seem frustrating trying to find a style, but that's I think one of my favorite things looking back on it is discovering what it is that got me excited, the things that like got me going in terms of my practice, like what really excited me and what didn't, and discovering all of that was definitely a fun part of this whole thing. So cherish that. I know it can be frustrating trying to figure out what your style is and figuring out what it is that you like and what you don't, and doing a lot of stuff that that you don't really like all that much. It's all an important part of the process. Like even me, like 5 years ago, I never would have done anything like this because at that time I was terrified to paint people in figures. Like I didn't think I was good at it. I didn't think I could wrap my head around it, even working from a reference. But I say here we are. The important thing is as long as on the whole, even if pieces don't turn out the exact way that you want them, as long as you're still having fun with it, as long as you're still enjoying the process, that's that's definitely the important thing. That goes out to anybody regarding anything that you do, creative or otherwise. As long as you're still into it, as long as you, even the stuff you hate, as long as you still like find something in it that you love, then you're on the right track. Because when I was in university, I was very much making art that, even though I did like a piece here and there, it was very much art that I was creating just so I got a good grade, you know? I didn't really have any real connection to it. And didn't I look back on some of that art and it's like, oh man, this didn't work at all. And it's because I didn't like it, because I was doing it to get a good grade. Which even then, most of the time I didn't even get like that good a grade. But then when I got out of school and started making art that I enjoyed, even that stuff, even though I go back, because this is, you know, just how I am critically, I look back at some of that stuff and be like, that really wasn't good. But it was better than anything I made in university because I did it for me. And that made all the difference. That's an eyelash. I don't know what that is. So hopefully this is starting to kind of look like an eye. Getting there. My work computer keeps dinging at me and I don't know why. It's closed, it's locked up. All right. Now this is I do have a smaller brush that I could do this with, but that brush isn't nearly as stiff as I need it to be for this kind of stuff. This is a much stiffer brush than that one, even though that other one is finer. It's a very soft brush. There we go. All right, not too bad, not too bad. Now we just got to do the other side of the lashes and the lid, all over here, and then we could do the underside, and then we'll leave that, go to another dark area. And then we'll start blending. I do have to clean this brush off just a little bit. There we go. All right. And the black that I'm using is Mars black. Now, all pigments are going to differ from manufacturer to manufacturer. I use primarily I use Winsor and Newton paints, and Winsor and Newton has two primary blacks within their line of uh, at least two primary blacks that I've seen that they have in their acrylic line, and that's Mars Black and Ivory Black. And I used to use Ivory Black, but Ivory Black dries almost like gray. It's kind of a grayish tone. It's a lighter tone. It's a softer tone of black. And I've never. It looks fine with the stuff that I want to do, but I've found that the Mars Black works a lot better. It dries darker. It's more stark. It's a lot more in line with the look that I want generally. So that's what I use. But if you want a softer, more muted black that is almost like a deep gray when it dries, I would go with the ivory. The ivory does mix better with other colors because it is slightly a lighter pigment. I mean, Mars Black mixes just fine, but the ivory black does mix just ever so slightly better. Especially if you're using like one of the non-primary colors. Like if you're mixing in like an orange or something like that. I tend to, ever since university actually, because I was poor, a poor university student, I only ever use 5 colors. The Mars Black, I mean, you can't really see them on the palette, but there's Mars Black, then I've got a titanium white, cadmium red hue, cadmium yellow hue, and then a cerulean blue. And those are the 5 colors I use all the time. The only 5 I use. It started out as a survival technique because it's like, well, I can't afford to be buying like 20 tubes of paint. And then it just kind of stuck. And that's where I am now. All right, let's get up under this eye here. Also, hopefully the audio has been all right. If it hasn't, let me know. I know OBS likes to change settings in between. I don't think it has, but every once and again I'll close it and then open it again, and then all of my settings are whack. So sound is okay? Okay, good. Thank you. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen, and otherwise, we've got an eye. We've got an eye, everyone. It's not done yet, but we've got the basic outline, the basic shape. on Instagram, I posted a video. It was a compilation video. Well, not a compilation, but it was like a collection of little videos that I took of me in the process of replacing my wiper motor in my car because I did it myself. And at one point in it, I said "ladies and gentlemen" and otherwise, which is how I greet people on here sometimes as well too. Because I used to say "ladies and gentlemen," and I was like, well, wait a minute. Not everybody is a lady. Not everyone is a gentleman. Some people are non-binary. So, but I also like the way that "ladies and gentlemen" rolls off the tongue. So I thought, well, "ladies and gentlemen" and otherwise, that covers everybody. You know, everybody in between, wherever you are on the spectrum. And somebody who I think it was a troll. It was like one of the very few troll comments that I get, like DM me, like otherwise with a question mark, and I just blocked that person because I went and looked at their stuff, like see who they are, and it was a lot of very transphobic stuff, and it's like, okay, I'm not dealing with you. I'm just gonna block you. Thankfully, no one else really cared about that part. They were more focused on the actual content of the video because a lot of people who are watching it are okay people and aren't hung up on people's gender identities. All right, let's see. Actually, I think this eye needs to come this way just a bit. There we go. That's a bit better. That's a little bit more in line with what the actual figure has going on. And now we've got a thing here, a darker area here, and a darker area coming through here. It's all shadow. Here we go. Yo, Retro Homebrew, welcome on in. How are you doing? Gotta preserve that false gender binary. Yeah, exactly. How you doing? All right, I think that eye looks good in terms of, so all the darkest areas in here are all done. So because all of those darkest areas are done, I'm going to move on to the mustache because that's the next darkest area. The hardest part of the hardest part of each of these faces is done now, which is nice. Each of like the center of the faces tend to be the hardest because there's the most stuff going on. I'm doing well, thank you. I'm doing well. Cannot complain. Just trying to brave all this wind and this cold because it was another super windy day today. I think for this part, actually, I think I'm going to. Actually, no, we'll stick with this brush for now. We'll stick with this brush for now. All right. Man, I really got to get to work on. I've mentioned it on here before. I've done a couple of streams about it actually. My little project that I got going on, um, in which I'm that lead. Oh, that leads down there. Okay, yeah. The little writing project that I'm doing, where I'm ranking and critiquing 115 songs in the Commodore's catalog, uh, as well as 12 of their albums. And it's kind of funny. I hit like 25,000 words and then just kind of stopped for a minute. I mean, it hasn't been that long. I had time this weekend to actually do some more writing, and then I didn't. I gotta get back to that. Maybe I'll work on some of it tonight. Because I've been telling people about this thing, and surprisingly, a lot of people are really fascinated by it and interested in it. It's like, all right, well, I gotta put my money where my mouth is and actually finish the thing. I've talked too big a game about it. I actually gotta do it. Uh-oh. I forgot to plug in my computer. All right, is it plugged in now? Hopefully. Okay, it's charging now. That was close. I almost lost y'all, and you would have no idea what happened to me. Man, oh man. But we're okay now. We're all right. You're right. It's not easy to do work on top of work. Very, very true. Oh, Hiskos. And I hope I'm saying your name right. Um, was there anything in particular? If you're still here, is there anything in particular that drew you to a collage? Because I know what originally drew me to like charcoal drawing, and then eventually painting was with charcoal drawing. It was like, ooh, I wonder if I can like make this look realistic. You know, that was kind of my draw to it. Um, and then it kind of evolved from there. So, was there anything? Because I would see like a picture of like a sports figure or something, and be like, ooh, I wonder if I can replicate that. You know. Well, I'm saying fine, good, good, good. I don't have a lot of talent in drawing and painting, so the paper does a lot of work for me. Fair enough. Fair enough. Hey, that is fair. You know who didn't have a whole lot of capabilities in terms of drawing is Francis Bacon, the the British artist. He was a painter primarily, and he used a lot of the work from uh, Edward Meyerabridge's figures, where it was like wrestling and doing like different sports and everything, because those photographs um, had like the musculature right and had posture right, and you could get the proportions right. So Francis Bacon leaned a lot on Meyerabridge's work, uh, on his photographs to do his paintings. So that's that's perfectly fine, you know. And it's cool that you're like, well, yeah, I don't have, as you said, a lot of talent in drawing and painting. So let me try this thing, you know, which I think is admirable, because a lot of people get hung up on, well, I can't draw, I can't paint, so they just don't create at all. You know? So I think it's very, very cool. Almost done with the mustache. It's kind of goofy. You only see like the eye, the eyebrow, and the mustache. It's kind of a goofy look, because it's so stark. There's none of the shading in yet. Once the shading goes in, it'll be a little less stark. There we go. All right. What do I want to do next? What's the next darkest thing? Probably this down here. which means I'm gonna angle the bit. Again, sorry for the sorry for the shaky camera and the mug. We just got to move down to oh yeah, I guess the shirt is all black, isn't it? All right. So we'll get started on that. We're making a fairly good time. I'm not sure we'll actually get to the green figure today, but we should at least get this one done. But we'll see. We'll see. Speaking of writing retro homebrew, you got anything in the works? Because I know you're a writer. I do like how I have a whole bunch of different people on here who, a bunch of Twitch friends who do different types of art. That all teach me different things. It's very nice. Now you'll see here the shirt in the reference is a lot lighter than the actual shirt that I'm painting on here, and that's because I'm lazy and I didn't feel like doing all this texture in this shirt. So this figure gets a black shirt because I just ain't having it. Simple as that. You gotta pick your battles sometimes as an artist, and I just wasn't willing to not have a black shirt. Also, I think it creates a more compelling image in that the other two figures also have dark shirts, you know. I sold my soul to the devil and returned to traditional employment for a couple years ago. Fair enough. Fair enough. I do lots of writing for work, so it's tricky to write for art. That's also fair. Yeah, I understand that. 100%. That happened a lot with the arts actually. People get jobs in the arts and then it gets a lot harder to actually do the thing for the art when you have to do it as a job, which is I think fair. What is oh it's the washer going. For a second I was like, who's running water in the bathroom? But it's the washer. Hoping to start making YouTube videos, so my cheekiness will be in the script writing of those. Ooh, very cool. Now, will those YouTube videos be about retro homebrew games, as your namesake would suggest, or a different topic entirely? All right, let's get in here. This is nice because this all just gets to be black. Really nice and easy. Ah, I got it. Yeah, so retro homebrew game. Very cool. Very cool. Because I've been lucky enough to catch a couple of your streams where you play some of those homebrew games, and it's a really fascinating concept, fascinating art form in itself. I remember someone arguing with me years ago about whether or not video games were art, and it's like, of course it's art. Video games are maybe more technological in terms of like coding and everything, but it's still an expression of human emotion meant for other people to consume. I mean, that's art. That's of course it's art. They weren't convinced, but Oh, what are you gonna do? All right. You know, right around the time that I got into like real into Undertale and learning about the process of that game being made and how it was largely just Toby Fox by himself. There's a whole genre of art games out there. Exactly. Exactly. It's like saying that video game music isn't like real music. It's like, what are you talking about? Have you heard any of these compositions? Goodness gracious. Um, uh, but no, when learning about the process in which Toby Fox and uh, the couple of people he had with him, like Temmie and all that, Temmie Chang, doing Undertale, and then learning how I forget his name, basically made like Stardew Valley by himself. I forget his name. Um, it got me thinking like if I were to make a game, what would it be? And unfortunately, I do not have nearly enough coding experience to actually make this like come to fruition. But my thought would be I would make like an RPG that has a time element to it, where it doesn't really have a time limit, but the outcome of the game changes based on the time it takes to beat it. So if you like speed run through it, it would have a different ending than if you like take your time and see everything like most people do with RPGs. Um, and it would be centered because of the time I was thinking about this game, it would be centered around the idea of grief, you know, and grieving and loss and all that kind of stuff. Um, I don't want to get too uh, explicit about the ideas and everything because you know how the internet is. Someone could watch this stream and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna do it," and then I'm out my big idea. But the unfortunate thing is, I had no idea how to code. I tried like three different times to learn how to code, and it just for whatever reason, coding language just does not stick in my head. It gets in there, and then it. There are lots of game engines that don't require much or any coding knowledge. That's fair. That's fair. I might one day explore some of those, but for the time being, um, it's just an idea that lives in my head. Maybe one of these days it'll see the light of day. I remember I got FL Studio and I cooked up a real fun battle theme that I was pretty happy with. I should see if I still have my notes somewhere about different elements of the game. Because I know I had some notes on my phone. I should see if they're still on there. I mean, I won't do that right now because my phone is recording the stream. But I should see if it's still there on there somewhere. All right, what next? I guess now it's time to shade this up, which is always the part that I'm most nervous about. I don't want to screw anything up, but gonna have to maybe screw things up. I am, however, going to get new paint because This is older paint and it's starting to dry out just a little bit. And because of that, it's getting a little tacky on the brush, like it's drying in the brush quicker. So I just need some new paint. Did I need that much? Probably not, but too late now. I can't put it back in. All right, so we'll that brush. And we will I think it was like Game Maker or something like that. But that was one of those engines that you didn't have to code too much, I think. I don't know if that's the same one that Toby Fox built Undertale in, but there we go. Now we got some clean brushes. And we can start with, again, the scariest part of the whole thing, shading. Well, actually, first, I want to put in some of these beard hairs. That's what I want to do first, actually. Game Maker, okay, yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe I'll look into that. But I'll probably do that after I'm done all the works for this show that I'm putting together, Anybody But Myself, and when I'm done writing that Commodores thing. I don't want to have too many projects going on at once, otherwise, I'm not sure any of them will get done. But thank you for reminding me about that, Homebrew. I'd forgotten that there were like very beginner friendly uh, game engines. Actually, so when I was in university, I'll share this again because not all of you were here the many times that I've told this story, but some of you are, but you'll just have to hear it again. When I was in university, um, there was a two-part computer science course, and the first part was things that I was familiar with. So it was like learning how to use Flash and Dreamweaver and all that kind of stuff. And so this is in first year. This is in first year. I'm 18, 19 years old. Just got to university, and first semester in university, I take this course, and lo and behold, it ended up being the best mark I ever got in any of the courses. Just learning how to use these Adobe things, and it's because I knew how to use them already. So like I got an 86 in that course, uh, highest university marks I ever got. Um, and so that was part A. And then computer science part B was actual like learning how to code using C. I think it was the C language, or it was Java, but I think it was C. Anyway, um, that was that course was the first time I ever failed anything, and I'm talking like failed. I'm talking like I was too prideful because I was the quintessential, like I was the good high school student, right? Always got the high marks in high school, found out later that it's because I didn't learn how to study in high school because everything just came so naturally. So I was really struggling. Um, I literally was too prideful to ask for help from the teacher. I was too prideful to drop the course when it was clear that I just was not grasping what was going on. It was one of those cases where I walked into the room where they were proctoring the final exam, and you had to wait. I think it was a half hour. You had to be there at least a half hour before you could leave. And I literally sat there. I wrote my name, sat there for a half hour, didn't do anything on the exam, and just got up and left. And I'm sure half the people were like, "Whoa, man, that guy's good," and I'm sure the other half were like, "Oh man, that guy didn't know what was going on." And those people were right. I had no idea. It was the most embarrassed I had ever been at that point in my life. Um, First time ever failing a course so miserably, and learned a big lesson that there's absolutely no shame in dropping a course that you're just not understanding. There's no shame in asking for help when you're not understanding it. No one's gonna think you're an idiot. Um, and That was my first foray into trying to learn how to uh, read and write programming languages. I think part of the embarrassment too is because I thought it was going to be like just more advanced. I of course I could have just read what the course was about, right? And I'm sure I did, and was like, wait, no, I can hack this, you know, I can do this. Um, but initially, I thought it was just going to be a continuation of Comp Sci A, which was all like the Flash and Photoshop and Dreamweaver and Illustrator and all that kind of stuff. The stuff that was more intuitive to me. But not so. I'm so old we studied basic in high school. Fair, fair. See, I don't think my high school had like a had a programming course. I don't think we had enough money to have a course about that. We had like a Photoshop course and all that, like how to use that stuff and how to do like video editing on Premiere Pro, like a communications course. Learn how to use camera equipment and whatnot. But yeah, nothing that was actually like actual nothing that was actually like programming. From what I remember, we didn't even have like a home ec kind of course either. Or maybe we did. I don't know. High school was a long time ago. All right. I think that's pretty good for the stubble and everything. Just have to do some on the neck here. Just a little. There we go. All right, now we will get into the more more complex shading, where we use very little paint on the brush, very little at all, just so we can get a baseline on it. And we go. The brush isn't dry enough yet. I believe that's dry enough. We'll load up the brush again with very little paint. Just basically a whisper of paint. There we go, that's better. And we will come down here. Oh, I forgot to paint some of the lower eyelashes. Oops. Right now. Okay, there we go. Yeah, we're just using very, very, very little paint on the brush. Just kind of very lightly filling these areas in. Just like so. With this area here. It'll kind of blend into the mustache there. I'm going to come in behind some of this. Just to add a little bit more depth. The nice thing about acrylic too is because it dries so fast, you don't really have to worry about accidentally like blending any of this stuff. Like it's just gonna kind of do it naturally. Like blending any areas that you don't want smeared or anything, you don't got to worry about that, which is kind of nice. Um, I want a little bit less pigment in there. So we'll try blending that again in just a minute. In the meantime, we'll come to this side. Top part of the eye, right there. Here, of course. Now that area needs to be a bit darker. We'll just add more paint to the brush. Just fill that in. Like so. And this just kind of continues down here. Yeah, the eye has some dimension to it now. Not bad at all. Okay. Next I want to do above. Here. And I'm trying to match it too with the other strip as much as I can, so that there's a little bit of continuity. Obviously, it's not going to be 100% perfect, but if I can get it close, I'd like to get it close. Not bad, not bad. Now, here on the shading there, a little bit of seasoning. You can use over here. Top of the head. And some over here. Sorry if that rattling is annoying, it's just that's what happens when the painting is hung on the wall. It does jiggle and move around a little bit, so you're gonna get more of the rattling sound. Gonna darken that up just a little. Now we're gonna take a bunch of pigment off the brush again. I'm gonna have to start a new poll soon because we're getting close to the end of Undertale. And like the two video games we're playing on the channel right now are we're doing the post game stuff with Paper Mario 1000 Year Door, and then we're gonna be finishing up Undertale True Pacifist Route probably within the next 2 streams or so on Sundays. So I got to do a new poll of like what game we want to play on Sundays because it's gonna either be Tears of the Kingdom, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, or it's going to be Deltarune, and just going through the chapters of Deltarune, like 1 through 4, because that's all that is available right now. So I gotta set that up soon, because it's pretty close to decision time. We will like eventually be playing both of those. Eventually. But I still need to get consensus on what people want to see. All right, now we just have, I mean, there's not a whole lot to actually do for the neck. There really isn't. Usually just all right, that's not too bad. Okay, I think, by and large, this figure is done. Gonna fill in some more pigment in here, in a couple of places. All right, I think that'll do it for this side of the face. And we can move on to the next figure, which will be really, really easy. And I'll show you why. As we take this this tape off. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now, the nice thing about acrylic too is because I can just reuse this tape. I don't know why I didn't reuse the other strip, but this is basically dry because it's acrylic. So I can just reuse this tape because it's not going to pull any of the other tape off. If it was still dry, or if it was still wet or drying, it probably would. Like, I wouldn't be able to do this with oil paint. Now we gotta, because I'm silly and didn't just use the same 2 pieces of tape. Now we gotta pull another strip. Oh, I got some good news. At the Station Gallery, they're having their yearly members juried exhibition, and the piece that I submitted got in. So I just got the email for that today, which is nice. Because it's been kind of a down year in terms of, like, I didn't get the grant that I thought I would, and, well, not that I thought I would. That's silly. I didn't get the grant that I was going for. But I guess in kind of a way, I thought I would. I thought I put together a pretty good argument as to why I should get it. You know. Hey, thank you, Retro Homebrew. I appreciate that. I guess what it is, my logical brain knew that like there's a high chance that you won't get this grant. But then the illogical part of my brain was like, but maybe, which is that's natural. The CCA grant system is whack. Ah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I'm sure there are parts of it that are whack, but yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. But I just try again next year. I mean, I did apply for basically the same grant with the Ontario Arts Council, so we'll see. We'll see if I get that one. But uh, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's parts of it that are whack, but overall, it's just I wasn't. I guess overall, I wasn't expecting to get it, but it would have been really nice. Would have been really nice. But what is really nice is that this section of the painting is not going to take long at all because it's primarily this figure's hair. I'll just raise this up a bit if it'll go. Yeah, it's primarily made up of this figure's hair, so this should go really, really quick. I do appreciate the sympathies though, because it was kind of funny. They said in the email that you know, it isn't a reflection of you as an artist. It's just we have different parties that like examine these grants, and you could get a completely different person the next time. I was like, yeah, okay. Well, hopefully the next time I submit, I get a different person. This, this person clearly did not like what I was bringing to the table. I'm sure it is hard though because there's only you only have so much money to give out. Ireland might start a basic income program for all artists. See, that would be nice. That's that's how you do it. That would be very nice to be able to get that. You want to encourage the arts and people. Like, you want to encourage people to be creative and find their creative outlet and do it. But it's hard to do that when you got to worry about paying bills and whatnot. And sure, you might still need a job, but if some of that is waylaid by or some of that is relieved by getting even like a basic income. Because a lot of people too think like you need like high end like art equipment to like make art. It's like no, I mean if you're able to just go down to the dollar store and get some like real basic paints or like some computer paper and just start drawing and sketching and painting like because art can be very expensive. No question. They had a $1,500 monthly pilot, and it created more money than it lost. Oh, there you go. That's encouraging. Because when it comes to this kind of stuff, too, really, that's the bottom line, right? It's like, how much is this going to cost us? And if it makes more money than it costs, then that's encouraging. Just like this is encouraging how quick this section is going. Honestly, this section And these three sections are going to go by really quick because these are all just like the other sides of the heads with like hair and stuff. So the rest of this should go fairly quick. The only other complex part is this figure here because we got to finish this eye. And yeah, and the lips here. Wonder what it would take to get something like that instituted in Canada. I'm willing to bet I won't ever see it in my lifetime. But who knows? I've been wrong about things before. Lord knows. One can hope. In Canada, political will. Yeah, exactly. Maybe I should be prime minister. Nah, I don't want to be prime minister. The only thing I want to be prime minister for is to enact something like that, and then I'd bounce. I don't want to be prime minister. There's too much power and too much. There's too much. I'd be a terrible prime minister. Okay. Oh shoot! I I realized I wasn't catching any of that. We'll move up here and then I'll move the camera down. With automation taking traditional jobs, you might see it sooner than you think. You see, that's fair. I'm worried that actually what'll happen is with automation and unfortunately AI taking so many traditional jobs, that what's going to happen is that people are just going to be unemployed and there's not going to be any sort of universal basic income. People are just going to be poor and destitute because there won't be any job creation either, and it'll just widen the gap between those with means and those who are in poverty, and that's. But maybe that's a cynical outlook. But that's what I worry is going to happen. Is that there won't be any sort of universal basic income to help people, uh, you know, live life. Because I remember I was on a committee that was just thinking about doing universal basic income, not even instituting it, just seeing what it would look like to discover what a living wage was for the people in the county that I grew up in, right? And all it did was devolve into arguments over who deserved what. Because obviously, like part of the living wage would like universal basic income would come from taxes, and just the number of people that were like, "Well, I don't want my taxes paying for someone else's vacation," and it's like, okay, that wouldn't fly. The governments would tax a billionaire class. Nothing overthrows regimes quite like mass hunger. I mean, that is also fair. That is also fair. I'm hoping things turn out all right as far as that kind of stuff goes. But yeah, all these people were just arguing about I don't want to have to pay for someone else's baby formula. They shouldn't have a baby. Like, okay. Well, whether you like it or not, that baby exists and it needs to eat. And arguments about like, well, what's is it really a necessity for people to have a vacation? Why don't they work so that they can get a job that's better than a living wage? So okay, so yeah, that little pilot project wasn't productive at all, not at all, which was a shame because going into it, I was really excited about being asked to like be part of it. You know. All right, now we'll that baby's future taxes will pay your future pension. Yeah, right. Exactly. No foresight with these folks. But I remember telling my parents about it and just how disheartening it was to see people just arguing over stuff like that. And unfortunately, my dad being in the line of work that he was in, it didn't surprise him at all that people had those kinds of feelings. Because basically, what it ended up being was the people who were more well off within that group of people that they put together uh, were the ones arguing the most against like supplying any sort of livable wage. And there was someone in there that was on like basically disability benefits. So it was like disability benefits are not nearly enough, for me to live on, but it's all I can rely on because I can't work. Because they tried as best they could to have like a huge demographic of people, um, and it was a fairly decent demographic of people, like a demographic spread. Um, and basically, some of the more stuck up people, when this guy was talking about how little he gets from like his disability benefit and from welfare, they were basically like, "Well, tough." Basically, verging on the side of like, have you tried not being disabled? But it sounds like you needed better facilitators. Probably, but I think so. I think some of the facilitators might have been a little naive about the process, but I don't think anybody expected it to go off the rails quite as quickly as it did. I think that was the big thing. But yeah, I remember my dad because he worked with a lot of underprivileged folk. Was not a was not at all surprised with the way that those talks went. Yeah, yeah. And in the end, nothing came of it. So never asked the privileged what support for underprivileged should look like. Yeah. Yep. Okay, let's move the camera down, and we'll do this bottom part. It's actually working out pretty well. Okay. So this is much like we did with this face, where it's by and large going to consist of having very little paint on the brush and just kind of shading in the darker areas. yeah, my dad struggled a lot with politics like that, with the jobs that he did in terms of like funding and people's attitudes toward his clientele, and yeah. Thankfully, he and my mom taught us to never judge someone by the amount of zeros in their bank account, but on the quality of their character instead. It's I've talked about it before, but it really is a privilege and I'm not sure it's talked about enough just how much of a privilege it is to have good parents. To have, I mean, in my case, had outstanding parents. Um, but just what a privilege it is to have good parents. Because yeah, that's a privilege unto itself, without question. Oh, my wife is sneezing. Good parents are important, especially when mental health care is free. Yeah, exactly. Yes, indeed. And I'm very privileged again, like in the fact that like if I mean, I probably should go to therapy for a multitude of reasons, but none of those reasons are related to how my parents raised me, you know, which is a very, very fortunate thing that I try not to take for granted. Okay, I think this figure's done. So I think we got time. We got about 5, 10 more minutes. We can get started on this figure. Might as well. And this time I'm not gonna. That's dry enough. So I'm not gonna ball this up and throw it away. We're just gonna come right back to it. Fall off the wall on me. We'll put this on the other side. All right. Now this green is always, it's always the hardest to see the green figure in terms of the lines that I made, because the gray from the carbon transfer paper is fairly close to the green in terms of tone. So we'll try our best. And of course, I'm gonna start with the darkest areas and we'll start on the face. Yeah. Okay. Need to switch out the figure here. Okay, so this side's really, really dark over here. This doesn't surprise me. So we will start with that. So before we do that, just kind of want to throw that up. There you go. Okay. This time, yeah, we're going to start with the eyebrow and the eye. So we have the eyebrow here. Okay, it's a good eyebrow. And now we'll start filling in the area around the eye. I have to go, but I hope you have a great rest of the stream. Hopefully I'll catch you again online soon. Hey, yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming in, Hiskos. It's nice to meet you. Glad I got a chance to chat with you and talking about your practice with your collages. So the next time there's going to be an art stream is actually going to be Thursday, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern. So if you're around, feel free to drop back in. You know, happy to have you. And if not, we usually do art Mondays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Mondays and Thursdays, 6 p.m. And then Wednesdays at 6, we do a video game. And then Sundays, we do a video game too. But yeah. Now, I'm not going to lie. The next time we work on this, the next time I do art on here, it may not be this piece. Because I may actually get ahead of myself and actually finish this off stream because I'm pretty happy with the way it's going. But I will, if that happens, I will show off what I ended up doing on the next art stream. So, but yeah, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your night. Again, glad to meet you, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you around. All right. I'm into this area that is it's very, very dark. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark this hair right here that's coming down, because it's gonna be a good line of demarcation for where like all the dark, dark, dark stuff really starts. This eye is looking crazy so far. In that it doesn't really look much like an eye at all, but that will come in time. Will come in time. Just realized I need to darken this up a little. I also need to shore up the back of my neckline. Jesus. Been real scruffy back there. As my older brother always says, geez Louise. I need to clean that up. Okay. We're getting there. I'll finish up this area over here, and then we'll call it a stream. Yeah. Not bad. All right. Well, we got a lot of we got a lot of stuff done today. We finished off 2 sections, and now we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4 left to go. So, and we already got a jump start on this one. So, uh, hey, thanks Retro Bro Homebrew. I appreciate that. I'm glad you think so. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's stream. Thank you everyone for coming on in. I really do appreciate seeing all of you. I see here that Calico Kid is in case you're lurking. Thank you very much for the shout out the other day. I missed that. And Potchfad, in case you're lurking, thank you very much for the follow. Very much appreciated. Um, let's see who's doing what. Is anybody doing anything? I've got no one doing any art stuff, but we're gonna say hi to Based Windu because I have to raid and run, but I hate raiding and running new people. So we're just gonna go say hi to Based Windu, friend of the channel. Good dude, good dude. All right, there we go. So thank you all for coming on in. Next time you'll see me will be on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna be finally getting back to the post-game content of Paper Mario Thousand Year Door on the GameCube. And then Thursday, we're going to be back to doing some sort of art. It might be this, or I might finish it in the meantime, and I'll show you what I did, and then we'll do something else, probably a drawing. But either way, we'll be doing some art on Thursday as well at 6 p.m. Eastern, so feel free to drop back in. And then on Sunday, either at 10 or 11:30 a.m. Eastern again, we'll be playing some Undertale, so tune in for that. And if I don't get to see you, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and a fantastic rest of your week. Week's just beginning, so hopefully today was the worst day of your week. Even if it was an amazing day, hopefully it's the worst day of your week, and it only gets better from here. But let's go say hi to Based Windu. All right, take it easy, everybody.